5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. DUGROZ here with DUGROZ Reports. It's Saturday morning live. Today is March 9th, 2024. Reporting live from my house. Welcome aboard, everybody. I see John and Mojo are on board, and Mojo says, I'm on my way to my local Wells Fargo to see if they can take an application for me. Hey, that's pretty cool. Let's turn on the background lights so that everybody knows I'm a big-time content creator. We've got kind of an orange glow going today. I think that's because of I was doing a Choice Hotels last time, and orange seemed appropriate. So we'll just stick with the orange color. I don't like the orange color. Let's switch over like something else here. There we go. Purple, dark purple, red. There, purplish red. That's good. Well, glad to have you all here this morning. Today's theme is the joy of 1.5. In other words, we're talking about cards that give you a 1.5x boost on your redemptions when used on travel, including travel portals, real-time rewards, those kind of things. Good to see you, Cesar. Happy to have you here today. Let's dive right in. Sorry, I was rushing like a madman to get ready this morning. Give me just a second. Sorry, I know that's not great cinema. My word, I'm sorry, folks. Let's dive right into some DUGROZ data points. So I think we all know that the Wells Fargo autograph journey just launched recently. That's not going to be a thrust of this video because I feel like it's been covered ad nauseum, including myself. But if you wanted to put questions about it in the chat, you're certainly welcome to. Even though we have a theme each Saturday morning, you can talk about anything related to credit cards, points, miles, cashback, travel, anything on topic or vaguely close to being on topic. DUGROZ data points. Number 1, Wyndham and Vacasa sadness. So I don't know if you saw this, but Wyndham Hotels devalued their best redemption option by far, and that's their partnership with Vacasa. I need to give a hat tip to the website View from the Wing because this is where I first saw this information. So if you didn't know this, Wyndham points could be used for Vacasa vacation rentals, cabins, condominiums, those kind of things, similar to VRBO. It's a competitor to VRBO, maybe Airbnb. Historically, you could get a Vacasa for 15,000 Wyndham points per bedroom per night, which was a good deal. There was never any formal or published cap on that, although, there were kind of some unofficial data points that it capped out around $500 equivalent per bedroom per night. You always get a 10% discount if you hold any of the Wyndham credit cards, including the business and the personal. So that's the old system. What's the new system? Well, there's 2 tiers. The first tier is for rentals that cost up to $250 per bedroom per night, and that's all in with fees, cleaning costs, taxes, etc. That tier remains unchanged, $15,000 per bedroom per night, or $13,500 if you have any of the Wyndham credit cards and get the discount. So because that's capped at a value of $250, that means the most value you can get is 1.85 cents per point. The second tier or the second tranche is for rentals that cost between $251 and $500 per bedroom per night, cash equivalent. And for those, you would need to use 30,000 Wyndham points per bedroom per night, or again, with the 10% discount for holding a credit card, 27,000 Wyndham points per bedroom per night. Since we're doubling the points and we're doubling the maximum value, that means for that tier, The best value you can get is 1.85 cents per point. And then most disappointing of all is they have now formally published, maybe not most disappointing, but just as disappointing, they have formally published that any rental that costs more than $500 per bedroom per night is off limits. You cannot book Wyndham's, you cannot book Vacasa's at that level using Wyndham points. So I see YouTube Experiments on board, hello, and asked a question that literally read my mind. The very next thing I was going to ask. With this devaluation, is there still any epic value with Vacasa? You could probably list like tiers of epicness. I have thought to myself in the past, interestingly, the theme is today is the joy of 1.5. And I haven't done it, but someday I'd like to publish a chart of like how you should feel about different point values. So anything less than 1 cent per point, assuming you're talking like transferable points, is bad. Don't do it. If it's right at 1 cent per point, it is acceptable. Like if you're cashing out, not great, but acceptable. 1.25 is good. 1.5 is very good, and more than 1.5 is pretty awesome, and more than 2 is you're the master. I don't know. I need to think of names or something like that. So let me give you some examples of where this falls. Now, this doesn't mean Wyndham can never be used. As an example, my boys and I went to central Wisconsin last fall and got a Vacasa cabin there. It was like just a literal cabin in the woods next to a state park. It was 1 bedroom and it averaged $241 per night. So that checked in at 1.78 cents per point on that particular redemption. That's just barely qualifies for that first tier in this new system. Nothing would change with that rental. So in that example, it would be exactly the same. So yeah, I used it before and I would use it again. There's another program called cottages.com that operates exactly the same. I haven't seen any data points on it yet, but because it operates exactly the same, I'm assuming that Wyndham will make the exact same change for cottages.com. What's the difference? Vacasa is in the United States. Cottages.com is in the United Kingdom. Other than that, they're exactly the same. Prices are exactly the same. The whole 15,000 points per night is exactly the same. When our family went to the United Kingdom last year and we got the Lundy Lodge, which was a 2-bedroom cottage in Wales, we stayed 4 nights. It came out to an average of 491 pounds, British pounds, per night. And if you convert that to dollars, I don't know what the conversion rate was at the time, but as of yesterday's conversion rate, $631. So if you divide that by 2, because it was 2 bedrooms, it would be $315 per bedroom per night. So it's still possible, but it bumps it into that higher tier. So when we took our trip last summer, we actually paid 27,000 points per night because we have the card, so we get the discount. The lesser rate for both bedrooms put together. Under this new regulation, we would have to pay 54,000 points, 27,000 per bedroom per night. So at the old rate or the old system, we were getting 2.3 cents per point. Under this new regime, we would be getting 1.16 cents per point, 1.15 cents per point, something like that. So it's still bookable, but not as good. Where this will really be a hit is, and I don't mean hit like, yay, it's a hit. I mean hit like getting punched, is if you're going to a popular vacation destination. So like, let's say you're going to Panama City Beach, Florida on spring break, or you want to go to Hawaii in the middle of Christmas break, like the week between Christmas and New Year's. You're going to be priced out of most of these because I'm confident that those would be over 500 points per bedroom per night. So Is it still worth using? Yes, I think like your springtime, your fall getaways, like your actual cabins in like sort of the heartland of the Midwest, like, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, Mount Rushmore in South Dakota, the middle of Wisconsin, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, if they have them. I don't know if they do. Those kind of things, I think you're still going to be getting enough value that I'm not going to cancel the card YouTube experiment, but it's certainly not as good. 1.8 cents per point, and let's just round that down. Let's say you average 1.8 cents per point. Bear in mind the points are still really easy to get. You're getting 8 points per dollar on gas, and if you're averaging 1.5 cents per point, that's the equivalent of 12% cash back. The card gives you automatically 15,000 points per year, $95 annual fee. So I still think it's worth it. It just, the Wyndham Earner business card went from like super epic value to just moderately epic value. Let me catch up on comments. John has arrived. Happy to see you, John. He's a big time DUGROZ diehard. Anyone who has the star next to their name is one of my channel members, a DUGROZ diehard. You can join too for only $3 a month. You can cancel anytime. I will also just throw out a mention that right now, because I have that enabled, I also have super chats enabled. So if you want to drop a buck or two, all membership rewards and super chat donations between now and whenever I hit my goal go towards my new computer fund, so that my live streaming is less laggy. Usually it's not too bad at the beginning, but when I start sharing web screens, it gets worse. So good to see you here. John, Luke's Points and Miles is here. Big time content creator, my Uncle Luke. Philmo is here, also a DUGROZ diehard. Matt Clausen, thank you for your content earlier this week on the autographed journey card. Luke says, love me some DUGROZ reports. Richard Blake is here and asks, how's the new laptop fund going? I don't know. I'm probably up to like $50 to $75, and the target's like between 800 and 1,000. So we got a ways to go. Yeah, 30 people right off the bat. Awesome. Thank you, Philmo. And hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already done so. Ryan asks, what's my strategy to get big international trips since Des Moines doesn't have much in that department? I live in Des Moines, Iowa, and it has nothing in that department. It is called the Des Moines International Airport, but they have 0 international flights on airlines. I've only taken one big overseas trip, and we drove to Minneapolis. Flew on KLM. That's how I got these cool little white houses, Delft houses. KLM gives them out if you fly business or first class. So nothing planned in 2024. We're going to fly international again in 2025. And I'd say there's a better than even chance we'll drive to Minneapolis again. Let's see. YouTube Experiment says the card gives you a $100 celebration dinner, though. That alone pays for it. Thank you. I appreciate you mentioning that, YouTube Experiment. I'm going to write that down for myself. You have to match over to Caesars status, and that's how you get the celebration dinner at various Caesars properties. I haven't even done that yet. I need to do that because there is a big Caesars casino in New Orleans. So if I haven't used it by the time I get down there, Labor Day weekend, I sure will. John says the members only videos are gems. Appreciate that. Got another one saved on my phone. Haven't published it yet. I do quite a few members only videos. Now these are the real zinger topics, the sensitive stuff, the awkward stuff that you don't want everyone and their brother to hear. So if you want to get in on those, join in. Richard Blake just dropped $9.99 towards my computer fund. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate that. I don't just say it. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, helps me keep going. YouTube has been treating me a little better the last 3 weeks or so. My views and earnings have gone up a bit, so I appreciate that. Next DUGROZ data point, targeted cash back offers at Chase. Got 2 sheets of paper going this morning. So I got an email earlier this week, or maybe it was last week, I don't remember. If I spend at least $100 on certain categories on my Air Canada Aeroplan Mastercard issued by Chase, I get a $15 statement credit. I don't remember what all the categories were. I think it was like home improvement. I know for sure insurance was one of them. Well, I paid an insurance bill that was just over $100, like $115. And sure enough, 2 days later, I got a $15 statement credit. So if you have any of the Chase co-branded cards, like United, Southwest, Aeroplan, Hyatt, that kind of stuff, IHG, you might want to check your emails to see if you got a targeted offer on that. Amex has a offer out for a dining refer a friend. So this doesn't apply to all cards. I know it did on my Business Gold. It does on both my wife and I on our Blue Business Plus cards and my Blue Cash Everyday card. They both have something where if I refer a friend, and it's limited time, I don't remember when it ends, I will get not only the normal refer a friend bonus, but also an extra 10 points per dollar or 10% cash back as applicable for 3 months. And that's pretty awesome. So like if it's on my Blue Business Plus, that's on top of normal points, I'd effectively be getting 12 points per dollar on dining. If it was on my Business Gold, assuming dining is one of my top categories, which I would make sure it would be, normally it gets 4 points per dollar. So now I'm up to 14 points per dollar. So I'm not sure how to work it out though, because I don't really have any cards I was planning to put spend on. And I'm trying to coordinate my sign up bonuses and those kind of things. So I haven't decided if we're going to go for it. The other hard part is both me and the missus are in pop-up jail. So we'd have to figure out a way to get around that. But if that's something you have, or if you know for sure you're going to be signing up for an Amex card and you don't have a friend to refer you, maybe drop me a line and you can help me out, or I can help. Well, I can't really help you out by signing up for them, but I could maybe spread the love or spread the word, I guess you'd say. John added to the computer fund a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate that. He says, gotta support a fellow Midwest guy. John's in Kansas City. I'm in Des Moines. We're only about 3.5 hours apart by car. So we're going to have like the Midwest meetup in Lamoni, Iowa, or Bethany, Missouri, or something like that in the not too distant future. Next data point regards deposit with points, and that's a feature of Amex business accounts. So if you followed along with my live streams, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I mentioned I was getting ready to cancel my Amex Business Platinum just because it was that time of year. And my annual fee was coming up and I didn't want to renew it. There is a feature on the Amex Platinum called Deposit with Points where you can cash out for a penny per point. Normally, Amex points are worth less than that if you cash them out. They're either worth 0.8 or sometimes even 0.6 of a cent per point. Well, I kind of screwed up the order in which I did things. I forgot I was going to do the deposit with points, and I canceled the card by chat at like 11 o'clock in the morning that day. And then at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or maybe it was even not that late, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was like, oh crap, I forgot to do deposit with points. Well, the feature to do that online has been down for like 2 months. So I went to do it over the phone, and the representative told me, yeah, your business checking account has been unlinked from your business platinum card. So if I can't do it at all right now, but even if I did, it would only be at 0.8 of a cent per point because it's going to relink automatically to your Blue Business Plus. And I was like, no, I screwed up. The weird thing is I've heard data points of people who have canceled their business platinum, but that deposit with points option stays open. I know Uncle Luke said that was the case with him. Maybe it still is. So I waited like a week. They put in a ticket to research it because I was like, could you make an exception? You know, I figured like there's a 30-day grace period after you cancel or something like that. And she said, we'll research and have someone from our tech team call you back. Well, 3 days later, they called me back. I missed them. They left a voicemail a couple times. I then finally got around to calling them like a week later. And there was no explanation given, but for whatever reason, I was still allowed to cash out at a penny per point. So I was like, yes. So whether or not that's going to stick around long term, whether it's going to stick around more than the 30 days after I canceled, I don't know. Like I said earlier in the video, a penny per point is acceptable. It's not great, but my cashback account was getting really low. So in my case, it was worth doing. So just there's a data point for you. Let me know if experience with canceling the business platinum, but still being able to cash out at a penny per point. They call it deposit with points because it has to go into your business checking account. But the business checking account is free. So, I mean, there's no harm in keeping it open. I see Luke is still on board and says he can still get 1 cent per point. So, Luke, I'm hoping that I'm just like you. And as long as I keep at least one MR earning card and my business checking account, I can get that option forever. The logic is I kind of have had a shift in my strategy for a while, probably temporary, maybe 6 months or so. I'm going to concentrate on cash back. You know that I always use my own cash back money to pay my annual fees on the cards so that I can, experience travel for free in a more literal sense. So that's the logic there. Okay, those are all the DUGROZ data points that I had written down. Let me go back up and make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat here. The computer's starting to really slow down here, and I haven't even started sharing anything. I guess it's because I'm up to 38 views. Thank you, everyone. Matt says I'm going to keep rolling out autograph journey content all week. YouTube Experiment asked, does Wells Fargo have a shopping portal like Capital One or offer section for discounts or added points like AMEX or Chase? I didn't see data points for anyone. Matt says Wells Fargo deals are equal. Fargo had sometimes they would have insanely good deals, but the way they've been displaying it changed. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like there used to be deals right on the landing page for rewards. Now you have to go to a section specifically for deals. And when they made that change, the deals weren't as good. So like there was a time in the past where all the stars aligned perfectly for me. Like it was a manufactured spender's dream scenario where my local grocery store, Hy-Vee, would sell prepaid Visas or MasterCards for 1 week with a $15 discount if you, I think for at least $300. So that more than waives the fee. And then at the same time, Wells Fargo was giving 10 bonus points up to a certain maximum. I don't remember what the maximum was, but people found out it was per purchase. So if you just make your purchases separately, you can just continually get 10 points per dollar and get $15. And it's literally like churning out money. Just turn that wheel. So Wells Fargo used to have these insane offers. I haven't seen any insane ones recently. John is down for the miniature meetup somewhere in southern Iowa or northern Missouri. Awesome. Richard Blake said he just got approved for the 250K Platinum a few days ago. Definitely unplanned. His change was in my wallet. You did a $sign then 250, but I'm assuming you mean the offer where you get 250,000 membership reward points. A lot of people congratulating him on that. Someone said, oh, I lost track of it. Ryan says, wait, the Business Platinum gives 1 cent per point on cash outs. Very nice to know. They do. More people congratulating Richard on his offer. I can't get a business checking because I used to have a personal checking. Uh-oh, that stinks. Cesar says, not surprised, Constantino still gets a $25 Uber credit with a canceled card. I saw that. Well, that, they cut off my wife's Uber credit on her gold card like the day after she canceled. It was like January 28th or something. She canceled her gold card. Didn't get a credit for February. So I guess that's everyone. Hey, TH has dropped a super chat of $5. Hit me up if you're in Minneapolis. Always great flight to Amsterdam or Charles de Gaulle via KLM or even Delta from Minneapolis. Keep up the great work. Thanks, TH. Appreciate it. Hey, more buckage for the computer fund. Thank you so much, everyone who's contributed, including TH. I really thank you for that. Richard Blake says, my player 2 won't take a referral offer from me to get the snacks on dining. Anyone have any player 2 convincing strategies? She likes the free trips, but not helping with the new cards. Sorry, man. My wife is a passive player 2. She doesn't mind the stuff or signing up for stuff. I have to be the one to do it though. It's like, don't make me do any work. I try to arrange it so she has to call in as little as possible. The 2 or 3 times a year, I feel like I'm letting her down. So good luck with that, Richard. All right, well, let's go ahead and move into the main event here. The joy of 1.5. And I'm going to need to share my screen here since I'm still using my old Chromebook with 8 gigs or 8 megs of RAM. It'll be slow, it'll be laggy, and I apologize, but for now, that's the only option. So, what is the joy of 1.5? Well, there where you can a lot of cards out there where you can get 1.5 cents per point through a portal, a bump up, real time rewards, something like that. And we're just going to talk about those cards and kind of the utility of them. There's 4 that I've identified and 1 that is honorable mention. But if I get to the end and have left any out, by all means, please remind me. First up, the candidate that probably comes to all of our mind first is the Chase Sapphire Reserve. We all know about this card. I don't think I'm going to share anything you don't already know. It earns 10x on hotels and rental cards through their own portal, 3x on paid travel, 3x on dining. Now, obviously, this isn't intended to be an exhaustive list. I'm guessing if you're on board, probably 90% of you know how the Sapphire Reserve works. It has a $50 fee every year. There's a $300 travel credit that's really easy to use, just $300 off the bottom line if you book travel directly with a hotel, rental car, airline, whatever. So a lot of people say it's an effective annual fee of $350 or $250. Depends how you want to look at it. I would say maybe close enough. I've had the Sapphire Reserve in the past. I have had one card that I started as a Sapphire Preferred, upgraded to Sapphire Reserve, back down to a Sapphire Preferred. My big use of 1.5 on this card was back during the pandemic when they had 1.5x pay yourself back on groceries. I ended up spending like, I don't know, $2,600. It ended up being $4,000 worth of value at 1.5x. What does that end up being? 4,000 divided by 1.5. Yeah, like 266,000 ultimate reward points I indirectly cashed out at a grocery store by buying gift cards for the equivalent of $4,000. Used that to pay off a line of credit that had open for a while. So not all redemptions are especially sexy or exciting, but sometimes they're very practical. When I had this, I used the portal now and then. I know some people have problems with portals, like if your flight gets canceled and they don't automatically rebook you, they'll say, you got to call Chase. And then Chase says, you got to call the airline. It's just this massive headache. I've never had a problem with that personally. And I know some people have, so I want to be careful. I would be willing to use the portal. Right now, I've got so many points in other places, there's no point in heading this route. But if there comes a time in the future where it fit me better, I wouldn't have any hesitancy going back. I think the lounge access makes it worthwhile, those kind of things. If you're doing a lot of domestic economy flights, this might be one of the best systems there is. Ryan says, for player 2, get her to call when she needs to reference a trip or a large expense that she wants and say, well, we have to do this to get it. That's a good point. Honey, I need a new dishwasher. Well, we're going to have to get a credit card sign-up bonus then. Juan Garcia says, I love my CSR, and it's 1.5 transfer to Hyatt. I'm assuming those are two different thoughts. I love the 1.5, comma, and transfers to Hyatt. If you know of some way to transfer 1 to 1.5 to Hyatt, please share with all of us. Airlines also, says Fog Runner, 550, not 50. Not following you there. When he says, Ryan says, when they had 1.5 pay yourself back, I put in orders at Home Depot for freezers, cashed the points, and canceled the order. Yep. So I know some people did it that way. All right. So that's the joy of 1.5 card number 1. Next up is the Chase Aeroplan card. And the Aeroplan card is going to take a few different pieces of explanation and a few different disclaimers. I know I've talked about it in the past. So the Aeroplan card gets 3x on grocery, 3x on dining, 3x on Air Canada flights. They also have this interesting little bump up where you get 500 points for every $2,000 dollars of spend in a month, and that's on top of any categories that earn more points. So let's just say hypothetically you spent exactly $2,000 in a month and it was all on grocery. You would get 6,000 points from 3x plus an extra 500. So you get 6,500 in that case. There is a $95 annual fee. Now I've written down here at the bottom 1.3 times 1.25 equals 1.625. So this card is in Aeroplan points, but you can always transfer Chase Ultimate Rewards over to Aeroplan in order to use the pay yourself back. I only use this card for pay yourself back. I've never used it to book an Air Canada flight. Maybe I will in the future, but right now I have not. So those numbers at the bottom, 1.3, 1.25 equals 1.625. That's 1 and 5/8, actually better than 1.5. If you know where I'm going, that makes sense. If not, that probably makes no sense at all, but I've got some slides here to help explain that. So twice in the past 12 months, Chase has offered a 20% transfer bonus to Aeroplan. So that's where I get the 1.2. I took the screenshot back in June of last year. That was one of the time frames where you could do it. It lasted about 45 days. They also give a 10% transfer bonus anytime you transfer 50,000 points or more, a maximum of 25,000 bonus points per year. Well, since every 50,000 would be 5,000 bonus points, that means basically you can do this trick 5 times a year. If you did all 250,000 at once, you would max it out. So those, it's not like 1.2 times 1.1. The way they do it, you can see over here. I transferred 130,000 Chase points once. I got my 20% bonus back on July 30th of last year, and that's this 2020. And then I got my 10% bonus here. They stack. You can get both, but you don't multiply it times each other. So if you hit one of these times, since there's always, let me start over. I'm getting tongue-tied. You always have the 10% bump up as long as you transfer at least 50,000 points from Chase to Aeroplan. Sometimes you get an extra 20. So 20 plus 10 is 30. So like on the prior screen, that's how I got the 1.3. So it's a 1.3. And then the 1.25. So you can pay yourself back. That started in January of 2023 at a rate of 1.25 cents per point. So you pay yourself back at 1.25. So you got 1.3 on the transfer. You got 1.25 when you pay yourself back. That's how we get 1.625. So with the Aeroplan card, you are functionally cashing out your Chase Ultimate Rewards if used on travel and put on this card at 1.625 cents per point. Since you can, this is actually better than the Sapphire Reserve in some ways because you can pay directly with the merchant and still do this. You don't have to go through the portal, which also leads to some double dipping opportunities. Now, other than Air Canada flights, they don't have a general travel category, so you're only getting 1 cent per point on the double dip, but it's still something. I want to talk about this because this is important, and I haven't heard anyone else talking about it, and that is, what is the future of pay yourself back with the Aeroplan card? And Philmo just said, every time you talk about it, I need to research it. Well, tap the brakes just a little here because I might end up disappointing you folks, but as a straightforward content creator, I need to be honest. So I pulled this screenshot from the Doctor of Credit website on January 13th, 2023. Well, I didn't pull it on that date, but it's from that date. So that's the day that Pay Yourself Back started. At that time, it said, there is no cap on redemptions for this calendar year, but for future years, there's a cap of 50,000 points. And that's sort of the assumption we'd all been operating with until a couple months ago, that at some point in the future, they're going to take away the unlimited amount and cap it at 50,000 points. It's still okay, but it's not as good. Somewhere around November or December of last year, that changed. If you go to the Chase website and look at it now, here's what it says. There is no limit to the amount of points you can redeem through June 30th, 2024. Okay, well, they extended it from the end of 2023 to halfway through this year. So we've got until the end of June 2024. Each point is worth 1.25 cents, which means blah, 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 just explains the math. Do you notice what's missing here? There is nothing that says you can still redeem up to 50,000 points per year after June 30th, 2024. And they may have changed the wording on their website enough that they might do away with pay yourself back altogether as of July 1st this year. I hope that's not the case, but it's possible. I check the Chase website about every week or two, hoping that the language will change and they will either extend it through December 31st of this year, or they will just say that's how it's always going to be, or they say, there will be the 50,000 point limit, but they don't. So until that's clarified, everyone, if you had got this card like October of last year, it would probably be worth using, but we're already to March 9th. By the time you get it, it's going to be March 15th. You're going to have basically April, May, June, and half of March to use it, at least for the guaranteed part. So until we know for sure what's going to happen, unless you have like a major trip coming up in that next 3-month time frame, I would even say safely before that, before maybe June 15th, where you're going to have a lot of, buses, trains, monorails, ferry boats. I would probably wait and see what's going to happen. Now, if you're going to get a truckload of use between now and mid-June, by all means. This card was a lifesaver when we went to England last year. I think I ended up using England and Sweden. I used well over $1,000 worth of that kind of travel, just the in-betweeny stuff. I used it for my motel stay in January. I used it for paying toll roads in the state of Illinois. It's just, oh man, I love it so much. If the unlimited pay yourself back is extended indefinitely, this is the best Joy of 1.5 card there is in my mind. But we're going to have to wait and see what the answer is. Next slide, please. My sweetheart card, the US Bank Altitude Reserve. So this card gives 5x on hotels and rental cars only in their own portal, 3x on paid travel, and 3x on mobile wallet. Now, there is no dining category or anything like that, but as we all know, lots of restaurants take mobile wallet also. Lots of places take mobile wallet. There is a $400 annual fee, but they offer a $325 annual credit similar to the Sapphire Reserve. It doesn't have to be in monthly increments. You can use it all at once if you want, or little at a time. And that $325 credit applies to paid travel and dining. Doesn't matter if it's fast food or the fanciest restaurant in central Iowa. It applies. Just stopped at Hardee's up the road from me a few days ago. Used my mobile wallet. Sure enough, I got my $13 of annual credit applied towards that. So a lot of people will think of it as a $75 net annual fee or effective annual fee. Depends on how you want to value that opportunity cost. This one, you can do some serious double dipping because I think on the Sapphire Reserve, the first $300 of travel, they don't earn any points. Basically, your credit. This one you do. So that Hardee's purchase, I still earn 3 points per dollar. I know I had the issue with like mobile wallet not posting correctly during January. Whether or not it gets fixed retroactively is still to be seen, but at least from February 1st on, the mobile wallet has been working correctly for me. So yeah, I love this card. You can double dip, you pay directly with the merchant. And then the way you redeem it is, you can get the 1.5 in the portal, but much better is to use their real-time rewards. So if you make a purchase, it is subject to certain minimums. I don't remember what they are. So if you want to get the card, make sure you research it. I think it's $100 minimum for hotels, $250 minimum for rental cars. Don't quote me on that. I know it's changed at least once. When you make a travel purchase and it meets the minimum threshold, they'll send a text message to your phone. You just respond back the word redeem in all capital letters. If you did lowercase, I'm not sure what would happen. I always do all capitals. And within a couple hours, they will give you a credit on your statement that cashes out your points at 1.5 cents per point and applies it to that travel expense. Other categories like I've used on Amtrak before, there is no minimum. Well, I think there's a $10 minimum for anything. But, I bought a really cheap Amtrak ticket for like 20, 30 bucks, got to use real-time rewards on that. I've not used it on Uber, but other people have, and they say it still works on Uber. So that's pretty awesome. Juan Garcia says the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve is great. Mobile wallet works at Costco. Yep, I know Costco, there's some problems with what they take and what they don't take, but the Altitude Reserve is a Visa, and you can use tap to pay. So it's one of the few places that has a trick for working at Costco. Better than the Costco card itself, is my understanding. I've shopped at Costco once ever in my whole life. Sam's Club is much closer to my house. What else do we want to say about the Altitude Reserve? It has primary rental car, so I think this is the ultimate car rental card because you can pay directly with Avis or Hertz or Enterprise or whatever company you're using, and get your real-time rewards. You can get primary rental coverage. It's just the bee's knees as far as rental cars go. Frugal Dad says the only place I can use mobile wallet is Walmart. Oh, that can't use. Yes, I agree. I was like, your Walmart has mobile wallet? Mine doesn't. Yeah, I really wish Walmart took mobile wallet, but they're too cheap or whatever. Menards, which is a home improvement store here in the Midwest, just recently started taking mobile wallet. I think that's all I have to say about the Altitude Reserve, but let me know if you have any questions on that. Next up is the Business Platy, the AMEX Business Platinum. It earns 5x on flights and prepaid hotels. If somebody could answer this question, because I never used it for this purpose, that's how they word on their website, 5x on flights and prepaid hotels. I think what that means is with any airline, if you book directly with them, you get 5x on flights. But for hotels, you have to go through the Amex travel portal. I don't think you can book a hotel directly with Marriott or Hilton and get the 5x. Let me know if I'm right or wrong on that. $695 annual fee. We all know there's various ways to offset that. You got your Dell credit, you got your mobile credit, you got your airline incidental credit, those kind of things. We won't get into that right now unless you really want to. But the way we get the joy of 1.5 on this card is there is a 35% rebate when you pay with points that only applies to flights booked through Amex's travel portal. More specifically, if you book any business or first class flight, it'll work. If you book a economy flight, it has to be your preferred airline, the same airline that you picked for your airline incidental credit. Luke says, I think with the Business Platinum, the airline has to be in the portal as well. Oh, okay. So yeah, I couldn't go directly to Southwest, book a ticket, and get 5x. That's disappointing, but I canceled the card anyway. It could. I see a scenario where this could be a good card. Let me come back to that. My thoughts are going in 20 different places. So 35% pay with points rebate on flights booked through Amex's own portal if you meet those conditions that I just mentioned. When you do the math, a 35% rebate is the equivalent of 1.53x. So think about it like this. Let's say you get a cheap flight. It's a $100 domestic flight. It's on your preferred airline. That $100 flight would cost you 10,000 points. They're going to rebate you 3,500 points. So it really only costs 6,500 points. So if we grab a calculator, take 6,500 divided by 10,000, No, I did that wrong. 10,000 divided by 6,500, you get 1.538. So that's how we get the 1.53 cents per point, or 1.53x. The use case for this, in my case, I would see if I committed to one airline, like let's say I just fall in love with American, and I wouldn't fall in love with them, but because I live in Des Moines and it has American flights to several places, let's say I commit to American, and I'm going to do lots of domestic flights. I've got lots of Amex points. I want the travel protections. I want the Centurion Lounge access. I want the priority pass, all that. And I'm just going to be doing it a bunch. I think you could make a case for this card. Now, in my case right now, I have points in so many other places I need to use them up first. I do have the business gold, so I would consider at the end of this year or maybe at the end of 2025, depending on how things go, upgrading my business gold to business platinum to take advantage of some of those strategies. Sledge Inc. shared not too long ago what I'm now calling the Sledge strategy, where you could have a platinum and downgrade it to the green every single year at the exact right time to get all the credits, but without paying the full annual fee. You can do the same trick with the business platinum and the business green and do some strategic downgrading, like let's say, February through November every year, you make it a business green, and starting on December 1st, you turn it into a business platinum, get all your credits. January, you get all the January credits, and then like on January 31st, turn it back into a business green. That's something I might do. Frugal Dad says, can you verify the real-time rewards with US Bank Altitude Reserve? Do you need all the points available to use real-time reward? That's what I was thinking of. Thank you, Frugal Dad. So there was a time where let me back up a little. Is this the right way? Yeah, okay. In order to use the real-time rewards with US Bank, you had to have the 1-to-1 points equivalent to use it. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're doing a rental car that costs $300. So that would normally be 30,000 points. If you divide by 1.5, it's only going to, I don't know why I had to use a calculator for that. It's only going to cost you 20,000 points. But you still had to have a bank of 30,000 points or it would not trigger the real-time rewards. That's how it was for most of its history and for most of my uses. If you wanted to use a $300 purchase with real-time rewards, you had to have 30,000 points. Frequent Miler said there was a data point starting about 6-8 months ago that's no longer the case. So let's say I only had 21,000 points in my bank and I spent exactly $300 on a rental car, it would still trigger the real-time rewards and you could use it. So to be specific with that, Frugal Dad, my confidence isn't high enough. I would still want the full 30,000 points, even though it's only going to cost me 20,000. I just don't know. I don't personally have any data points on that. If any of you do, by all means, chime in. I wish Stan, the Credit Frog, was here because he'd be the person most likely to know. Okay. Back on the business platinum here. Whoop, wrong direction. Sorry. Business Platinum, Uncle Luke says, it's very limited. Scenario, this could be a good card. It's used by an actual business. Ha ha. Okay, I agree with that. Ryan says, with the 35% back, I accidentally found a loophole. I accidentally purchased a flight that wasn't my preferred airline. I canceled within 24 hours to get a refund and got the refund as cash, but had to call to get it reversed. It was interesting. So even though it wasn't your preferred airline, you still got the 35%? Filmo says, a business card used for business seems weird. Juan Garcia says, I'm currently working on a 120K sub on the AMEX Business Platinum with 15K of spend. I will reevaluate after year one. Yep, and I know some people had that offer at 150K is my understanding, but that's what I would do, reevaluate. Filmo says the business green is trash, trash, trash. It is. It's just a holding spot to have a lower annual fee. Juan Garcia asks, I wonder what credits Amex Business will offer as Dell credits and cell phone credits expires at the end of this year. This will factor into my decision. Oh, thanks, Juan. I didn't know they were reconsidering it. Ryan says, no, just a way for 1 cent per point. Oh, okay. Bad wording. Gotcha. All right, let's go on to my final entry here. And this is the honorable mention because you can't get this card. I apologize. The honorable mention card is the Wells Fargo Visa Signature card. This is grandfathered. In other words, no new applications are being accepted. If you have the card, you can still have it, but you can't get it new. Now, I honestly don't know what would happen if you asked a product change to it. If somebody wants to be the guinea pig, by all means, be my guest. Like if you had an active cash and asked a product change to this, maybe they would let you. I have no idea. At first blush, this card looks like trash, trash, trash. It gives 1 point per dollar on everything. And it's like, that's as bad as the AMEX Business Green. Hey, speaking of... well, I'm not sure what speaking of, but Frugal Dad Finance gave me $5 to upgrade the RAM on my new computer. I don't think RAM is removable on a Chromebook, Frugal Dad, so I'm just going to have to get a Apple or a MacBook or something along those lines. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And Phil mentions, yes, this is my Golden Pony card. I can break it out of the wallet if you want to see it. Remind me not to show the numbers on the front like I did with my Wyndham card 2 weeks ago. 1X on everything. Okay. So why even keep this card? Why haven't I tried to product change to an active cash or something like that? Well, it's a one-trick pony, pun intended. Those 3 ponies you see on the front, what they do is they will let you use a 1.5x boost on flights in the Wells Fargo portal. And unlike every single card we've showed so far, there's no annual fee. So this card just sits in my wallet, gets used twice a year just to keep the credit history, and then does its one trick every now and then. I haven't used it in about 1.5 to 2 years, but I do keep it in my figurative back pocket sock drawer just in case. Yes, Wells Fargo does let you move points from card to card. This is considered a point earning card, so it's along the same vein as the autograph and the autograph journey. So I can move points between any card. My dad has an active cash and a autograph, and you can go online and move points from his active cash to the autograph or vice versa. It says right on there the ratio is, a point equals a dollar for the purpose of transferring. So, or a penny, excuse me. So yeah, like if you wanted to cash out a dollar, you'd have to have 100 points and vice versa. So those kind of things. Just a 1-for-1 transfer ratio is what I'm trying to say. I'm not explaining it well, but you all know what I mean. And then between the point earning cards, so I can transfer the autograph or the autograph journey to this one and vice versa. You can even do it with other people, and it doesn't even have to be a family member. You just have to know their credit card number. So like if Matt Clausen wanted to donate 10,000 Wells Fargo points to me, as long as I tell him my credit card number and I trust him, he can just type in the credit card number and it just goes right over there. Be careful though, because there are 2 options on the Wells Fargo transfer within the rewards program. And I don't remember what the terminology is, but one of them will send it to the recipient as points. The other will send it to the recipient as a cashback credit card statement. I screwed that up once where I tried to move points from my dad's autograph card, which at that time was the Propel, over to this card, and I chose the wrong option. So instead of getting points to be used for 1.5, I accidentally got a statement credit, and that error cost me $75. If you want to watch it, find a video on my channel called My $75 Mistake with Wells Fargo. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. People talk about a Wells Fargo trifecta, and what they're thinking of is the autograph journey, autograph, and active cash. But how about a trifecta for this card, the Visa Signature, very uninspiring name, the autograph and the active cash. So you would get 2x on the active cash, send it over here, turn it into the equivalent of 3% cash back if used on flights on everything, on dining, gas, transit, those kind of things on the autograph. You functionally get 4.5x. Again, it's only on flights, but you get all of that for no annual fee. So that would be pretty cool. Filmo says, Matt, if you're still here, I'll take 10,000 points. I just used you as an example, Matt, of like how you me, and Wells Fargo is kind enough to let people share points. Wells Fargo lets people pool points even if they're not family members. Well, not really pool, but just send points back and forth. Okay, well, any follow-up questions on the joy of 1.5? Otherwise, we're done with our theme of the day topic. All right, so the next thing to do to the what do you call it? Community tab questions that I left. Bear with me here. My computer's running super slow. And when I say super slow, I mean like nuts so slow. In the meantime, let's see. Something that I might want to mention is we already talked about super chats. Thank you to those who have dropped them so far. We already mentioned channel memberships. Consider becoming a member. Matt Clausen says he thinks Wells Fargo Advisors has an invitation-only card that has 1.5 redemption in the portal. Yeah, they used to have a card called the Propel World card that you could only get in branch, and you had to have like, there was more than one version of it, but you had to have like $25,000 of assets under management with Wells Fargo or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what the criterion were. Okay, we're going to take an intermission, folks, because we have our first commercial break starting in about 10 seconds. So for those of you who get a commercial, enjoy. For those of you who don't, sorry you have to look at the wall. I'll be back in 30 to 90 seconds. You're kind of loud, guys. Intermission. All right. Thank you, everyone. Anybody get a commercial? Or did you just stare at the wall for a while? You got to see my background. All right. I really enjoy doing these live streams. So thank you for everyone who stayed on board through that. It says I still have 37 people on board. All right. Community tab questions. Dun, 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 dun. I think this is the screen I need to share. Every Friday, I post a community tab with a photograph and the ability to ask me anything. Here is the photograph that we're using. So the goal is to guess where this photograph was taken. That's me, obviously standing in front of a lighthouse. The screen while reading the questions because it causes my lagginess issue. Okay. Let's get to the comments. We'll go from the top to the bottom. First question is from my brother from another mother, Cesar Joel. Is the Wells Targo trifecta? I had a small stroke. I apologize. Is the Wells Fargo trifecta a good option for choice transfers and/or cash back setup? Keep up the great work, Doug. First, I want to talk about choice transfers. I mentioned this in my reaction video to the launch of the autograph journey. I've seen two different blogs that said choice transfers 1 to 2. I couldn't find any other verification other than in the CNBC article. It also says choice will transfer 1 to 2. But in the press release itself, directly from Wells Fargo, it doesn't mention that anywhere. In the terms and conditions online, it doesn't mention that anyway, where it just says all transfers are 1 to 1 unless otherwise stated. It's probably true. It makes sense, but I'd feel more comfortable if it was listed on the Wells Fargo website itself. I don't remember who said they're going to Wells Fargo to try to open a card. Maybe ask the banker. I mean, they're probably not going to know, but maybe they'll have a brochure on their desk or something like that. If any of you have seen another source directly from Wells Fargo confirming choice transfers 1 to 2, let me know. But I will assume it does for the rest of this discussion. So first question, is the trifecta good choice for choice? Yeah, it is. So like if I've got my autograph card and I'm going out and dining, I get 3x, and that's double. That's effectively 6 choice points per dollar. I've done 2 different videos on choice hotels now. They aren't very popular, which is sad because I think it really is kind of a dark horse. I could make some comment about YouTube just being filled with nothing but the super predictable videos, but I won't. But in those videos, I found lots of examples where you can get over a cent per point. And I declared that for the credit card community, you should think about choice as a value of 1.25 cents per point if you're willing to cherry pick. So if you're earning 3x and that transfers double, that's 6x. And if you value each of those points at 1.25 each, that means on things like dining, you're earning the equivalent of 7.5% cash back if you're willing to commit to choice hotels. That's pretty good. Now, if you get the autograph journey, that makes it a $95 annual fee setup. But let's say that you just do the duo, you do the autograph and the active cash. I think that's still pretty good. 2 on everything, double it, take it times 1.25. That means you're getting 5% on everything again if you're willing to commit to choice. So yeah, I do think it's a good choice transfer setup. I think it's a mediocre to decent cash back setup. If you're going to commit to full blown cash back, don't be loyal to any one bank. Just get the best on everything you can get. John says Cambria properties are a hidden gem in the choice ecosystem. I probably agree with that based on what I've seen. I haven't personally stayed in one. TH says, I just booked 3 choice stay in Prague in April, got 1.87 cents per point, not too savvy. I'm assuming what you mean is you don't even have to be all that savvy to get the 1.87 cents per point. Yeah, and remember, that's 1.87 choice per point. So if that's coming over from either Citi or Wells Fargo, that's 3.74. Cesar says, thank you for answering my question. Thank you for asking the question, buddy. Appreciate that. Next up is Uncle Luke asked a question. He says, how do you incorporate your credit card and personal finance expertise into parenting? Are your boys ready to learn the game, and how do you teach them about managing family resources? I'll be honest, Luke, I'm just starting to wade into that a little bit. One of my boys, Joe, has kind of expressed interest in the credit card points and miles game. The other one, Ben, I don't think really cares that much. They kind of like the fun part of it. Like, oh, who are you talking to on YouTube, Dad? Is that Luke? Is that Chad? Is that someone else? You know, they'll be like, hey, look, it's a Cesar Joel video. Let's listen in Spanish and see if we can figure out any of the words. It's funny when he says something, 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 DUGROZ reports. So they like my minor amount of fame. They think that's pretty interesting. But in terms of like the actual points and miles, how it works, they're not really into it. They know enough and understand enough to know that, like, if dad is stopping at some obscure gas station to buy an Amazon gift card, you need to just tolerate it because this is how we take nice vacations. I need to work that into my parenting more and more in the future, and I'm planning on it, but I haven't really started yet. So if anyone has any significant tips, let me know. When I was growing up, being raised, the way my parents handled finances with kids was basically never let your kids. They didn't use credit cards at all until they got a Discover card when I was like a senior in high school. Everything was just checks and cash. Frugalness was instilled in me, but we didn't really discuss it openly. Ryan says, I think for finance with kids, I'm going to start with some kind of financial app to see where money comes in and goes out prior to worrying about budget. Cesar's laughing at my comments about how they like my minor fame and when you mention me. Filmo says, my kids who are 25, 21, 16 just want to go on the trips. They don't want to do the work, but they're starting to come around. Yeah, that's how lots of people are. I know there's a message board that I'm a part of that's sports related, has absolutely nothing to do with points and miles, but they have an off-topic segment of the message board. And one time someone asked, like, I want to go to some vacation. How could I do it cheaply? And I brought up, the Wyndham Vacasa trick. And when I said something like, I got the equivalent of a $1,700 cabin for a $95 annual fee, several people were very curious. And two people even specifically tagged me and said, how can I learn more about this? And I gave just a real brief description, like you have to sign up for a new credit card. You need to put your gas purchases on it. You can buy third-party gift cards at gas stations. And, let me know if you want to know more. I'll hold your hand and walk you through it step by step. Crickets. Like, I love the idea of getting a $1,700 vacation rental for $95, but I don't even want to put in the work of signing up for a card. I think that's probably most people, good, bad, or indifferent. LH Finances asked this question. Do you plan to, or have you added your boys as authorized users to any of your credit cards to build their credit? Yes, I have. I don't remember exactly which ones. Like, US Bank has given an offer twice, once on the Altitude Reserve and once on the Cash Plus. If you add an authorized user, you get like a $15 statement credit. So I did it with them. So they're both authorized users on that card, which has a lot of credit history. So they're already building credit with that, and they'll probably have more in the future. I might come back around to that in a little later in the video, time permitting. Thank you, LH Finances. And then he guesses the picture is the Old Point Comfort Lighthouse in Fort Monroe, Virginia. And yes, he got it right. That is the Old Point Comfort Lighthouse. There is a Civil War era military fort. I think it's Civil War era. Correct me if I'm wrong. Called Fort Monroe, Virginia. When I flew to Norfolk, Virginia, the area around Yorktown, it's not too far away from there. I went to see it. Honestly, it was a little bit of a disappointment. The fort was like open; you could drive around it, but they wouldn't let you go inside and see anything on the day I was there. The museum was closed, but I did stop and take a picture in front of the lighthouse. I don't think the lighthouse has anything to do with the fort per se. I think it's just coincidental that they're next to each other. Frugal Dad says, your parents and mine were the same. Only one credit card ever, Montgomery Ward, if you can remember. I know of Montgomery Ward. I don't know if I ever personally went to one. Roberto Gonzalez asked this question. When evaluating a $15,000 spend, which offers superior benefits and value? A catch-all rewards card or specific cards like Hilton and Hyatt? Interested in insights regarding rewards, perks, and overall suitability to spend up front or over the course of a year. And he says over the course of a year. It's going to be a case-by-case basis thing. I'm going to go ahead and generalize a little and say if I was forced to choose, first of all, it's always better to concentrate on sign-up bonuses 98% of the time. You're going to get way further ahead with big sign-up bonuses. So like, let's say you can do that $15,000 spend in 3 chunks. I would do like sign-up bonus for $5,000, sign-up bonus for $5,000, sign-up bonus for $5,000. But let's just say you don't have the ability to do that for whatever reason, and it really is evenly over the course of a year, I would probably lean towards a hotel card, like the Hilton Aspire or the Hilton Surpass. With the Aspire, you'd be getting your second free night certificate after spending 15,000. With the Surpass, you would be getting your first free night certificate after spending 15,000. Let's just say, in a hypothetical world, you can put that free night certificate to use at $600 for a night. That's expensive enough that it's a really good value, but also low enough it's realistic. We're not, flying to the Maldives for one day or something like that. That would be a 4% return on spend for just the stay itself. And then while spending that money, you're also getting something. So even if you only use it, I'll use the Hilton as an example. You get 3 cents per point on everything. If you rate that at half a cent each, which I think that's low, that's 1.5% cashback equivalent. So now you're getting the equivalent of 5.5% cash back if you take your free night certificate and the spend put together. If you can spend it in a category that gives 6x, like grocery or something like that, very conservatively, that's a 3% cashback equivalent. Add it to your 4% equivalent on the free night certificate. Now you're getting 7% cashback equivalent. There's not a lot of reward cards where just everyday spend, you can get the equivalent of a 7% cashback equivalent. So as far as big spend bonuses or how to gradually spend $15,000 over the course of the year, I would go with a big spend bonus on a hotel card that gets you a free night certificate or something along those lines. Thanks for the question, Roberto. I don't know if I've ever seen you in a live chat, and that's okay. If you're watching after the fact, I appreciate it. And for anyone watching after the fact, click the thumbs up button. I'd appreciate that too. You can drop a super thanks too. It doesn't have to be live, although lives are fun. I really appreciate anything you throw towards my hotel computer fund, even if it's a buck or two. And then the other thing that's interesting that I'll mention is, like I said, I've been doing pretty good on YouTube lately. Some of these live streams have really taken off. What's interesting is, like, I never have more than about 20 to 30 concurrent viewers, people watching live at one time. Although right now it says I have 37. Thank you for everyone who's on board. But like maybe 75 people view it live total. So like start to finish, people that hop in for just a minute or two, people watch the whole thing, people who catch the very end, maybe 75 people total see it live. But like my last 2 videos have been up in the high 400s, like 500s of total views. So you've got like 300 or 400 people watching it after the fact, if not more. That's just nuts. I appreciate it, guys. All right, next question is from John's Travel Adventures. Almost finished booking hotel and rental car for a trip from Kansas City to South Dakota and Wyoming to see the presidents. I'm assuming that's Mount Rushmore and Devil's Tower. Have you been? If so, any advice? This is a bucket list trip. Thanks, John. Is John, are you in my live chat, John, Jon? Are you the same John that posted this question, John's Travel Adventures? YouTube does the weird thing where it has your short form name and your long form name both. So I'm not 100% sure. Just wanted to I bet it is. Yes, John. Okay. Same John. Because, yeah, you've got the star. You're DUGROZ Diehard. Thanks. So I have been to both of those places. Interesting story. When I was in like junior high or the early part of high school, that would have been junior high. My sister was in a college singing group for her college that was like a Christian college. Well, it was a Christian college. And she drove around the country with a ministry team singing, like at Christian camps, churches, youth retreats, those kind of things. It was a singing group. And my parents decided to stalk her for like 3 weeks. So we literally followed the group around from venue to venue. This wasn't like following your favorite like popular music or rock group. This was like, you might be going to some small church in rural South Dakota that has 30 people, not big venues. But as part of that kind of Great Western expedition, we saw both Mount Rushmore and Devil's Tower and what's the giant Native American? Crazy Horse. We saw Crazy Horse and a few other things. I actually like Devil's Tower the best of all of those. But yeah, I was a 9th grader, so I didn't really put a lot of thought into the travel advice or the hotels we stayed in. My family was middle class, very frugal, very cheap. So we would stay in like Super 8 was the nice hotel we stayed in. We stayed in a lot of local mom and pop roach hotels. There was at least one occasion where it was literally a roach hotel with roaches in it. Glad you get to take that bucket list trip. I don't have a lot of specific advice other than a couple pieces of advice. One is you kind of stumbled across it. Kearney, Nebraska. You met Chad there. I don't know what it is. Like every single hotel in Kearney, Nebraska is rated like 4.5 stars or greater on Google. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. I wonder if like there's sort of just a momentum thing where they start trying to outcompete each other. So if you're driving from Iowa or Missouri or Kansas headed west, stop in Kearney, Nebraska, because all of their hotels are apparently amazing. I might do more research on that. I've got it on my potential future videos topic list. The other is there are several Vacasa properties around Mount Rushmore. Now, we talked at the beginning of the video about the devaluation on that. So you would have to find one that averages less than $500 per bedroom per night. Even though it's not the super epic value, you can probably still get solid value. None of them are like right in Rapid City, but like within an hour of Mount Rushmore. See if you can get a Vacasa. John says, the Hampton I stayed in Kearney was awesome. Yeah, that's what prompted me to look it up. Maybe we should have a meetup in Kearney, Nebraska sometime. I'm not a huge Nebraska fan, but I guess I could deal with it. Matt asks if it's Kearney or Kearney. I always thought it was Kearney. There's a small, like, unincorporated village here in central Iowa called Kearney. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Ryan says my family would stop at a couple of campgrounds while doing Mount Rushmore. Yeah, but we're points and miles people. We want luxury. Ryan says I'm not normally able to watch live, but I'm cleaning the garage while my wife watches the kid. Oh, that's awesome. Cedric says, hi, Cedric. Welcome aboard. Don't think we've met. Xavier Ludicani is here. Hi, Xavier. Don't think we've met either. Cedric says, I have an offer from Amex Gold, 90,000 points for 4K in 6 months. I just got the Venture X 3 months ago, and I'm trying to wait the other 3 months for the Saver 1. Seems good to pass with Amex making change. Opinion? Yeah, I agree with that. The Amex Gold for 90K points is fair, but not great. Now, if it was 120,000 points, then I would say jump ship and do that. Go ahead and get the Saver 1 while you can. So I agree with you 100%. Clairvoyant has arrived. Says, my phone's broken. I can't type properly. Clairvoyant is also known as AP, I think. Says, what are other credit cards like the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve that allows you to turn your 1.5 multiplier into actual cash back, maybe booking a flight and then canceling it? Well, Clairvoyant, every single issuer is going to say something like, that's abusing the system. And if you do it a lot, they might shut you down. Whether or not they actually would, I don't really know. I know with the Aeroplan card, some people were abusing it because the terms and conditions say you can only use pay yourself back for points transferred from Chase or points earned at Aeroplan itself. So some people were transferring in like Amex points or Capital One points to Aeroplan, then cashing those out because they had the Chase credit card, which was a big no-no. Some people said the people doing that were cashing in like millions of points. So they kind of got what they deserved if it was that volume. So I don't know of any that allow actual cash back. I did it with the Altitude Reserve one time. I think it was with good intentions, though. I was trying to book travel for something, and it didn't trigger real-time rewards. I think it was a Southwest flight, and maybe that was before they lowered their standard for flights. Like I booked a $100 flight that I was actually taking, and they wouldn't let me use real-time rewards because it was under the $200 threshold. So what I did is I booked an Amtrak for like $100, used the real-time rewards, got my credit, then canceled the Amtrak. I figured, I was playing within the spirit of the rules because my Southwest flight should have credited, but it didn't. So I still sort of indirectly got my 1.5 cents per point, and they didn't shut me down. Some people have said that US Bank is sensitive to gift card buying. I would buy $100 gift cards with them fairly frequently. A year or two ago, I had a store where I could get some extra points that I'm not able to get anymore. But, probably like 8 months in a row, I bought a $100 Amazon gift card at Kohl's and Home Depot, or Kohl's and Staples. Got my 3x mobile rewards. They never held me to the carpet, but from what I've read, they're somewhat sensitive. So I wouldn't go buying $500 prepaid gift cards with the Altitude Reserve. I wouldn't, cash out 75,000 flex points with US Bank and then cancel the flight and do that repeatedly. So, I can't think of a lot of examples where you can do that without maybe getting in trouble. Chase would probably be the easiest on like a Chase Sapphire Reserve. If they brought back their pay yourself back for anything other than charity or annual fee. If I run into anything clairvoyant, I'll let you know. John says the town in Nebraska is pronounced Kearney. Cedric has joined as a DUGROZ Diehard. Thank you so much, Cedric. Through our only video, Cedric, I really appreciate it. All right. So, John, with your question about going to see Devil's Tower and Mount Rushmore, that finishes up all of the community post questions. Oh, I got one more alert notification. I'll see if it's that kind of thing. Joe Barretto has arrived. Hi, Joe. How are you doing? Joe's a fellow content creator, so check him out if you haven't already. Let's move on. I have saved up for. The Ritz Carlton card issued by Chase. I am strongly considering pursuing a path. And my main thought process was, well, I'm not a Marriott guy. I'm not ever going to stay at a real Ritz Carlton. Maybe I will, but that was kind of my thought at the time. I'm still not really a Marriott guy. I'm not like upset with Marriott. I just feel like their path to earning points is kind of lame. And for me, an intermittent traveler, points earning is more important than status. We've got a couple different things where the stars are lining up a little bit. One is the current offers on I think it's Bonvoy Boundless, where you can get 5 free night certificates up to 50,000 points each, which you can top up for an additional 15,000. So you can use them up to 65,000 stays. That's pretty epic value. Yeah, David Hamilton's here. Welcome aboard, David. Another diehard, and you read my mind. I will get your comment in just a few moments. So last year when my family flew to Europe, England, Sweden, Wales, the beginning of that year, I got travel insurance from Allianz. And here was my thought process. I don't have the Altitude Reserve. Excuse me, I spoke wrong. I don't have the Sapphire Reserve from Chase. I'm not planning to keep my Business Platinum. I don't want to be beholden to making sure I book a certain trip with a certain card to get the travel protections. Yes, I know with AMEX, some you get automatically like emergency medical evaluation, but you don't get like the baggage delay unless you book the whole trip with that card. I wanted to book with points using the card I wanted at the time I wanted. So I just bought my own travel insurance. I have asthma. My son has juvenile diabetes. So while we're not like ticking time bombs or anything, we are maybe a little more likely than the average family to have a medical need. If we had a serious medical need in Europe, I would want to have first-class travel insurance. We actually used it in Branson, Missouri for something small where my son got an infection, like $150, and they paid real easily. So nothing bad to say about Allianz. But when that whole Bonvoy 5 free night certificates came up, it made me start thinking about the Ritz Carlton card. And when I started looking at the Ritz Carlton card and the travel protections that it offers and the amount of travel I do, functionally, it was almost the same as that Allianz policy, which cost me around $400. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the annual fee on the Ritz Carlton remains at $400. 450, sorry. Guys, speaking of medical things, my back is getting real sore and I've got to sit, stand up. So I'm actually going to stand up here. So you're going to see me ride the elevator here. So with that in mind, you get to see what the top of my bookshelf looks like. With that in mind, I'm like, why am I paying for a $400 travel insurance policy if I can get a credit card that for $450 annual fee has almost the exact same benefits? Not exactly the same, but unless you're traveling more than like 8 times a year, functionally the same. So I need to look into it more. I need to do some thinking. But as you all know, the path to the Ritz Carlton is not just go out and apply. So there's a couple issues. One is, even if I signed up for one of the Marriott cards today, I'm not sure why I'm staring at the microphone. Even if I signed up for one of the Marriott cards today, it's still going to be a year before I can product change at the Ritz Carlton. Most of you probably know this, but if you don't, I'll mention it. The Ritz Carlton is a premium card issued by Chase that is in conjunction with Marriott Hotels. It is grandfathered to new applicants, so you cannot apply for it directly. There is no sign-up bonus. The only way you can get the card is to get a Chase Marriott card, wait a year, and then product change it. My understanding is that Chase does not allow you to switch from a proprietary ultimate rewards earning card to a Marriott card. If anybody knows with certainty, let me know. So like I have a old Freedom card that I use only a little. Could I product change that to the Marriott Bound Void card? I know I wouldn't get a sign-up bonus. I think the answer is no, that I'm not able to do that. But if you know for sure, let me know. So that brings us to the second problem, which is Chase 524. I'm over 524 right now. I'm actually at 824. And my situation is that I won't get back under 524 until May of next year, May of 2025. So with that in mind, am I going to go, what is this, March, April, May? Am I going to go a year and 2 months without applying for a single personal card? Ugh. Now, Kiki from Kiki's Adventures told me that there's a lot of data points out there that for third-party cards or like co-branded cards like Marriott, like Southwest, etc., the 524 rule almost doesn't exist anymore. A lot of people are having good success applying directly over 524 and still getting the card. Let me know if some of you are in the same boat, if you have any data points on that. I know people like Anthony Venture, people like Uncle Luke within the last year have applied for Chase Inc. cards, the business cards, while over 524 and got approved. I tried that about 3 weeks ago. I was denied. I called the recon line and she said the main reason I was denied is I have too many new accounts opened within the last 24 months. And she actually used the verbiage 24 months. I actually recorded that call and I plan to release a video. It's almost like the Chase rep formally acknowledged that 524 existed. So that applied to the business cards. I guess I'm locked out of business cards due to 524. I'm locked out of personal UR earning cards. I haven't tried a co-branded card in like 3 or 4 years. Early on, I tried to get the IG card when I was over 524, the personal one, and was denied. I think it was the personal one, or was it the business one? I don't remember. So if you have any data points on Chase letting you bypass 524 to get a co-branded personal card, please let me know in the chat, or if you're watching this after fact, in the comment section down below. So my wife is under 524. I think she's at 324. Um, I can't really tell you why, but I kind of feel like I want it to be in my name. With annual fees and having to call and those kind of things, any card that's a higher maintenance card, I really want in my name. And it comes back to the whole player two thing we talked about. I want my wife to be able to be a passive player too, because she can get frustrated if she has to be a highly active player too. So I could do that, but don't really want to. So it's almost like my credit card strategy for the next year has a divergence. It's sort of like the diverging timeline in Legend of Zelda, if you follow that. You've got this universe and this universe, the multiverse type thing. So in one multiverse, I can get approved for a personal Marriott card with Chase, and then I'll follow this strategy of like, who cares about 524? In this other multiverse, I can't get a personal Marriott card with Chase, so I need to be really careful about 524. And in the other multiverse, which goes right down the middle, I can't get the Marriott card and I don't care. And I just blow right on by 524 anyway. So this is something that's really on my mind. So as I think about the Ritz Carlton card, let's just say, for the sake of example, it comes with a free night certificate, a very generous one. Let's say I'm not able to use it for very good value. In fact, not good value at all. I use it on a hotel stay that would cost $150 in cash. So, well, now my $450, even with that really bad redemption, is down to a $300 kind of sort of effective annual fee. $300 is way less than I'm going to pay for travel insurance. Plus having, that kind of thing really fits well. And then, I know there's the airline incidental fee, which is awkward. Let's say I only use $50 worth of that. Well, now I've taken $200 off. So now I'm only paying $250 for all those good insurances. And lounge access, probably the best Priority Pass lounge access you can get, because you get unlimited guests and unlimited free authorized users. It may not be unlimited. Maybe it's like 8 authorized users or 5 or whatever. But I could give my whole family authorized user cards, 2 boys and my wife. Shucks, I could, if I had a close friend, give him an authorized user card. So Priority Pass restaurants, I have the Altitude Reserve, which gives you up to 8 visits per year, which I only need to save for restaurants since I have the Venture X right now. But that brings me back around to the comment that David Hamilton made. He says, I canceled my Venture X and got the Ritz. I just paid my annual fee on my Venture X recently. I need to try to get a retention offer, but I don't think they give very many retention offers. I could dump my Venture X if I had the Ritz card, because the main reason I keep it open is because it's the only way to get good lounge access at Priority Pass if you travel with more than a family of 3. So since I have a family of 4, a lot of credit cards, like I think, don't quote me on this, I think the Sapphire Reserve, you get 2 free guests. And if you want to go beyond that, you have to pay for an authorized user. Well, with the Venture X, I can give my wife a free authorized user card, and she gets 2 guests. I get 2 guests. So my family of 4 is more than covered. We could even bring a couple of cousins and still be covered. So since I travel with 4 total family members, the Sapphire Reserve, the Platy cards are not great. They don't work for my lounge access unless I pay extra for additional authorized users. Yeah, David Hamilton says unlimited authorized users and unlimited guests. So, wow. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So even if I don't use it to the point where I'm getting effectively no annual fee, if I can just knock that annual fee down to like $350, $300, which I think you could do really easily, it could replace my Venture X, and it could, all of a sudden I had a brain fart. It could replace my Venture X and provide those high-level travel insurances. Like it has evacuation insurance, it has emergency medical insurance, all those things. So these are things that I'm thinking through, the Ritz Carlton card. Philmo says maximum height DUGROZ. See how tall I am? I'm probably about 6'7". I declare myself. Don't forget to hit the like button. The airline credit can be used like the AMEX credit, but better. Yeah, that's my understanding. As far as 524, John says same, May of 2025. Might try an ink to see if I can beat it. Ryan says the United Business was denied for 524 in January. David Hamilton says you could apply with a player 2 or 3 and make yourself an authorized user. I might do that. That would definitely not be my first choice, but I could. Frugal Dad says the same thing. Philmo says I was twice denied for ink cards in the past 6 months at 624 and then 524. John says I might hold off and then go the Delta Biz card route. John says finishing up a Blue Business Plus and Hilton Surpass subs at the moment. Yeah, so sounds like a lot of you think that is a good path. Where's my other topics? Free travel. I will just mention this briefly. So, you know how there's always a debate in the points and miles community whether or not we can use the phrase free travel and be intellectually honest, because, you know, let's say you sign up for a card with an annual fee and it gets you enough points to get your flights for free, and then another card with an annual fee enough to get your hotels for free. You're still paying the annual fee. You're still paying for food. You're still paying for activities, unless you have the Chase Aeroplan card. You're still paying for your bus fare, maybe. Ubers. Well, if you have the Altitude Reserve, maybe you aren't. It's almost impossible to take a vacation literally for free with points. But in the past year, what I have done is make an accounting for all of my trips where I account for every single penny. If I stop at Burger King and get a double cheeseburger for $3, I put it on my spreadsheet. And then when I can pay with points, I do, like with the Altitude Reserve, like with the Aeroplan card, or pay myself back. Anything I can't cover that way, I will move money from my cashback travel savings account to my family budget and then pay it, so that my family budget doesn't have to pay a single penny for travel. I have started paying all of my annual fees out of that same cashback account. So my question for you is, can I, in a good conscience, say I travel for free? And here's why I wonder, you know, at what point am I allowed to say that, and you, the community, give me the pass to actually say I'm traveling for free? Because functionally I am, but when I first got into the points and miles game, obviously I didn't have enough cachet to pay all of my annual fees with my cashback bonuses, with my bank account bonuses, those kind of things. So I paid my annual fees out of my family budget at first, which is okay, because before I got into points and miles, we spent about $2,000 a year on travel. Then eventually I moved to the point where I paid all my big annual fee cards out of my travel savings, but my $95 annual fee cards I still paid out of the family budget. And then about a year and a half to a year ago, before our trip last summer, I don't remember when, but by at least June of 2023, I just decided, new rule, I am paying for everything out of travel savings. I don't budget one penny of my family's budget for travel. So any trips that we do, any points and miles trips are free. Now, if it's like, you know, my wife flew to Arizona to help a family member with a medical problem, that's not really a vacation or a RIP trip or a points and miles trip. And she bought a sandwich at the cafe in the airport. You know, that's not coming out of my travel budget, because that's not really travel. That's just part of life. So my question for you is, when is it okay for me to say I travel for free? Is it okay now? Do I need to wait a while? Just food for thought. A few more comments over here. David Hamill said, I closed my Altitude Reserve and got Kroger MasterCard ×2. Oh, that's interesting. Do you use it at Kroger or something else? I just saw there was a content creator who is very small, still under like 300 subscribers, maybe under 100, who did a video saying with US Bank, they have a bunch of these co-branded cards like Kroger's, like Ralph's, those kind of things, where you can actually do 3x mobile wallet. There are limits on how many you can do, but I wonder if that's the same kind of situation. Juan Garcia says the Ritz card is great. $300 airline incidental, easy to trigger, Excellent travel protection. Yeah, probably the best travel protections. And access to both Priority Pass lounges and Sapphire lounges. The Boston Sapphire Lounge was great. Yeah, there's also one they just opened, Sapphire Lounge in Washington Dulles. Now, I would miss the Capital One lounges because being in Des Moines, Iowa, I don't have any direct flights to Washington Dulles. The only Washington flight is Reagan, which stinks because this summer I don't get any lounge access. I'll just be eating at Priority Pass lounges using the aforementioned Altitude Reserve. They do have one direct flight to Boston a couple times a week. I think it's with American. I would like it if they would expand into Dallas. That would make a big deal. Minneapolis, Chicago, Denver, Atlanta. If you're listening, Chase, put your lounges there. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, Juan. Filmo says, I expect our free trip to San Antonio this month to cost about $750, but I say free because, like you, I use cash back and other funds. Awesome. Juan Garcia says, I can't get Chase business cards for the life of me being over 524. John says, the same, Doug. Everything is paid out of my travel savings account. Not one dime comes out of my household budget. I think if you are just an average guy who, has a job, that's the way to do it. Now, if I was, like Chad from Chad's Money Minute, I had a job where I traveled constantly, then I might feel differently. David Hamilton, referring back to those U.S. Bank co-branded cards, says 5% cash back anywhere, $3,000 a year. Interesting. What do you have to do to get the 5% cash back? Is it just mobile wallet or is it something else? So yeah, good discussion on that. I am almost done with the live stream. We're at 1:40, which is just about right. I will show you the record of the week here. On the turntable this morning is Andy Williams singing Moon River. It's a classic. Can't go wrong with Andy Williams. I do have another channel called, I'm trying to get the glare to not show the whole time. Another channel called DUGROZ Nostalgia that is about like just the stuff I do. It doesn't have anything to do with points and miles or very little to do with it. So if you want to just search DUGROZ Nostalgia, if you want to subscribe to that channel, see more about my record collecting adventures, commercials from the 80s that I remember, Star Wars, that kind of stuff. All right. Well, I think we are good to go. Last chance to drop a super chat if you want. Last chance to sign up as a DUGROZ Diehard. And if you would, please hit the thumbs up button before you go. That really does help trigger the algorithm. I appreciate it. Juan Garcia says, I believe there's a Sapphire Lounge in Denver. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you. Austin also has a Sapphire Lounge. Dallas-Fort Worth has a Capital One Lounge. Yeah. A lot of American flights out of Iowa connect in Dallas. That's why I was thinking that. David Hamilton says mobile pay wallet, mobile wallet plus another percent if using Kroger Pay. All right, so let's all have some good cash back earnings, use our mobile wallets well, and look forward to the future of more Sapphire Lounges. Thanks for joining me today, everyone. I appreciate it. As always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Bye.